So today I'm going to show you and demo how to use a no-well extended square tip. So let's get started. I'm going to start with pushing back her cuticles. Remember, no pressure, just guiding back to see where it turns white. Where it turns white is where all your cuticle and protein growth is. I'm going to use a medium arbor band. Go ahead and tickle through. No pressure, just let the bit work for you. It is on 6,000 RPMs. Now I'm going to make sure she has no extension. Because I'm doing a tip, I want to file off all her free edge of her nail. Now I'm going to switch to my square bit. What I love about it is I like to take off some of her dry skin right here, and then I just pull back her skin, make contact with the bit, and it does the work for you. So now I'm going to dust them off and then go into swipe. So when you're sizing a tip, you want to make sure it doesn't overextend longer than the sidewalls are. That'll give the appearance of, when you're done applying everything, a bit looking wider. I like it to fit pretty much exactly with their sidewall, as close as you could get it. Sometimes you may have to tweak it and file your sides, but hers matched up very well. So I'm going to use this one right here. You're just putting it on the free edge. You're not putting it way back here. You're putting it just on the tip. What I like about these tips is it's going to grow off her free edge pretty fast. So if you wanted to change out a look or to a different shape, it's very easy just to clip it off and do a different shape if you like using tips. Okay, once you measure them all, what I do is I actually like to use my arbor band for this. I feel like it gives it really good scratches in there. You need to prep it so it will adhere to the product and to her nail. If you do not texture it, it'll probably pop off at that point. So I like to just come in and make sure you prep all the way up your corners. And that's pretty much it. And if you look at it from this direction, you could see how it's prepped just as far as I'm going to adhere it to her natural nail. So what I'm going to do is just protein bond just the tips. I'm gonna bring my tips here. I'm going to use clear fiber gel in the pot, and I'm going to use my LED light. So I'm gonna get fiber gel on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to just cover all the spots that I prepped. Wipe off the remainder, making sure you have enough, but not too much. So if you could see this well here, I'm going to turn on the light, come right here. I like to go up with it, so if there's any excess that comes out, it will go ahead and file off easy, and then go ahead and hold it here a few seconds. So once I get one set on one side, I usually have them go under the light for like 30 seconds, and then I do the other hand. So I'm going to swipe off the little sticky here. There's a little bit of gel, and I'm gonna go ahead, and what I like to do is come in with my sidewalls and make sure that little part's straight, which it is. It's just ensuring it is for me. Then I'm gonna come in here. Okay, then I'm going to go into my arbor band at 6,000 RPMs and prep back here again to blend everything in and go ahead and texture the free edge of my tip. I'm gonna go ahead and just blend this in right here. And again, I'm not putting any pressure. I'm just taking a ride on top of her nail and tickling the surface.
Why do you need to bother texturizing the tip?
It's really important to texture the tip because it's too slick for gel to stick on it. I tend to even do it with my acrylic. I feel like just the adhesion's really well on there. So you are prepping it at least with the 150 so everything sticks on. And I'll go over this for a minute, but you'll notice I don't stay in the same spot. And that's just because the plastic is a little thicker than her natural nail. And the key is to blend everything in. She's not feeling anything because I'm not staying in the same spot. Once I have that blended, I'll go ahead and follow through here using all zones of my ink file. I'll go ahead and go around right here just to make sure everything's prepped okay. I didn't really touch her nail there, but still I want to go over and make sure it's all blended on your sides. I'm going to dust off her nail first with no swipe. I do not want swipe to touch the actual tip. It does have some acetone in it, so it could like self-level it again so it wouldn't stick so well. So what I like to do is come right here. I usually fold it, it's easier for me. And I cleanse the back of her nail. So this is just going to ensure, because they're so long, I don't feel comfortable not changing the pH balance back here, so it'll be a perfect bond after I protein bond it. Remember to not get it on your tip. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start down here and protein bond moving up. The reason why I'm starting at the free edge is it's not going to flood my cuticle once I get back here. Okay, once I go through all 10, I'll come back, I'll do a circular motion. This takes off a lot of your protein bond, so it's not going to flood the cuticles or oversaturate them. So I'm going to take base gel. I'm going to start right here, bring it through, all the way through. Okay, so really just making sure everything's covered. Then we'll go under the light 30 seconds and I'll be on to the next nail. So I'm going to use Mission Control Fizz. I'm going to create a white background. And I like to kind of do my cuticle area first. And it might look like it's welling up, but you'll see what I do. It's easier for me to get it more perfect at the cuticle area and then bring that bulk down. Sometimes when you polish Mission Control, it could look streaky. It's typically if you're not having enough on your brush. I use this all the time. When you see white on my page or my nails, it's always Mission Control. And if you do accidentally touch the skin, say, just get it off immediately, it'll be fine. Try to avoid that. Okay, and honestly, it doesn't have to be perfect because I am going to make this a dimensional nail and I'm going to put stuff in it so you won't see any imperfections. So if you see streaking of any sort, you could come in with the second coat, but why would you? Because you're going to encapsulate everything. So go ahead and cure this for 1 full minute. It's very important you cure your Mission Control for 1 full minute. That way you know it's totally cured. Do not flash set Mission Control. If you flash set it, it doesn't have the opportunity to fully cure. So with any of the Mission Controls, if you cure it fully, 1 minute, you're safe. Once it's cured 1 full minute, Mission Control cures with a non-tack to it. So you have to create one. The best thing to use for me that I prefer to use is base. The reason why is everything anchors onto base very well and it's very thin and it's not going to run anywhere. So if you notice, I kind of wrap it around my sides. I'm not piling it on, I'm just putting it on really thin. And then I'll fully cure this before I go to my next step.
I noticed you put a lot of pressure on the sides.
Yes.
When you're going through the sides.
Okay, the reason why I do that, if you notice when I'm right here, when you're floating, like with the camera, you could totally tell. See how it kind of wells up when you're floating? If you put pressure from back here and then come in, see how it's really tight around your edges? Really tight around your edges. I do that around my cuticle areas and my sides a lot, so then that way it doesn't protrude everywhere. Okay, so then I'm going to cure this for 60 seconds. So I'm going to use 9 different colors in this design. I'm going to use Rippled, Game Splaining, Possession, Sunshine, Sneakerhead, Zinger, Twisted Average, Glowworm, and Fam Bam. So I'm going to do another coat of base, and I'm not going to cure this coat. Making sure you're covering the entire nail. Again, don't make it thick. I just want it uncured because I want it to hold on to my glitters very well. So I'll pick up some color. And there's really no right or wrong way to this. I like to put it underneath. It's a little easier. But as far as placing it, it doesn't matter where you place it. Just use your imagination.
We get a lot of questions about this part. Like, what are you thinking? And I literally tell people, I'm not thinking.
I'm not either. I'm just creating like a kind of like a look or a coverage. And they're all going to look different. So if you notice, I don't put them in the same spots. Okay, let's do the purple. I'm obsessed with this color. It's pretty.
It's one of my favorites.
Very cute. I want to go green now.
I like that you're using these colors because a lot of people aren't sure how to use more of these matte glitters.
You'll see what I do to get like a shimmer in it. Sometimes I like them to all look matte, but you could see how it makes everything pop like a full coverage. Sometimes when you put glitter down, you could kind of see through them, or they create another color. So it's kind of fun to be able to just come in and see what color you're wanting. Oh, this is so cute. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just make sure it's not on my sides. Then I could tell if I need to add anywhere. So it just kind of like seeps down to it. Look at your sides and make sure you get your sides pretty well. After you have all your background and your color down, cure for 30 seconds. Okay, when you come out, it'll all be cured on there, as you can see. So what I'm going to do from here is another coat of base, another coat of Synergy base. And I'm going to leave this wet as well. So if you notice, I'm using kind of a shiny glass effect with matte colors. This is going to create a cool dimension already in itself by using the two colors together. So if you don't like just the matte look, which I think that kind of looks like a really cool like background for something, or tagging or something, really cool. I love it actually. So you could stop here and encapsulate. You could do this look on top of the nail. It's up to you, but we are doing some encapsulation right now. So let me get some of the colors I want to use. I'm using a bigger size on some, and I'm going to kind of overlap it on in some areas. So this is going to give it a different dimensional effect, as you could see already, because it's a bigger cut. And not all in the same spots, just in different spots. I'm going to use both colors. So I'm using the yellow one, and then I'm going to use the neon orange. I actually like the yellow. I like the orange, but I like the yellow a lot. I think I'm going to kind of pile it on in some spots. So see how I'm kind of bringing it higher? Oh, I like this. Okay, so now I'm going to cure this for 30 seconds under the light. So I'm adding the yellow now. The reason being, it's a very small cut. I didn't want to add it before because it would have chunk up, add a little more bulk, I should say. I want it to be fine, more like a glitter press look in certain spots. So I'm going to come in with this, and I think I'm going to like it on, the green. Oh yeah, see how it kind of made the green really, really bold? So you could make any of them super shiny, or you could keep them matte looking in spots and it will look like you're looking inside the nail. So I'm using this more like a glitter press look right now.
Yeah. Did you use the white underneath so the neons would pop?
Yes. Kind of like when you have a canvas and you paint on a canvas, it's going to make it pop. You could use any color background, but a lot of times if you use a darker background, it can make it look more like fall or winter colors. Okay, so I'm going to cure this for 30 seconds. So once you come out of the light, I'm going to encapsulate this entire nail. So I'm going to use Build Pink in a tube and our precision gels. So I have an orange wood stick and a little lint-free wipe in case it starts to move. I will control it as it goes. So I'm going to start right here. I like to start away from the cuticle and then start to bring it down. And I'm going to move kind of fast. So I put plenty on top. Then I'm going to get my brush. And I'm going to go to the left, noticing I'm not taking it from the middle, I'm only taking it from this side. Okay, from this side. And I really don't care what it looks like. What matters to me is that I'm getting it all encapsulated at once. Okay, so see why I put this here? It's because it's a longer nail. Now, it doesn't matter to me about the apex yet. All that matters is that I have it on the entire nail. And she'll go under there for 30 seconds. Okay, once you went through all 10 and you did your first round of Build Pink, I'm going to show you the height I have. And I'm going to explain why I have the height on her nails. You can see how it's pretty high already in the middle. My first one, a little rusty. I always get better on the next one. It comes down a little, but it's nothing you can't fix. But when you squeeze from behind the cuticle, or I should say in front of the cuticle, is that in front or behind?
Ooh, front.
Front, right?
In front.
It's in front to you, but behind to me.
Yeah.
The reason why it worked well is I did a well of gel through here, and then I left it kind of welled up, and I took it from the side and brought it to this side and then brought it to the other. I never came on top of it and took it over. So what I did is just take from the sides. Okay, so that's just a great tip to be able to encapsulate really fast, and how cool these tubes are. There's many ways you could use them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it sideways. As you could see on camera, that's exactly what I'm looking at. So I don't need a lot here. I really need it through here. So I'm gonna kind of do the same technique to there. And as you can see, it built the body. And then I'm going to come in here and smooth it all out the same way I did my first round. Now I'm going to look at it sideways and make sure I have the height I need. Okay, so I'm going to start about right here, bring it through. I don't need a lot of it. All I'm doing is filling in that negative space. And then I'm going to check myself from the profile, the side view, and you could see how I filled that all in. And she's going to go under the light for 30 seconds. So as you could see, I did build up enough body. I typically, when I apply, everybody's a little different. I don't like to add here because it needs to be very tight. There's plenty on there. All I have to do is just file where needed. So same thing with here. You don't need a lot. I needed to go a little further back on this one. And I didn't squeeze as much as you could see when I first initially applied the product. So all I'm doing is just getting that apex in. Raise up my brush a little here, so see how you kind of fills it all in. Okay, I like it. So she's gonna go under and fully cure for 1 full minute. So what I'm going to do now is take swipe and swipe off all of the sticky residue. So I'll file one on camera for you. You're going to make sure your sidewalls are straight. As you could see, the little pattern of the dust from my file is straight, so that ensures that I know that I'm not filing sideways a little. If you ever see a pattern coming off to the side, it's because you're not staying completely straight on your sidewalls. Let's do our opposite side. If you notice, I'm bracing her nail, her extension part, with my fingers so she doesn't feel any sort of tugging, and her fingers will not be sore. I'll check myself here just to make sure I'm pretty straight still. And this shape is super, like with it being square, it's gonna show any imperfections. So we wanna make sure that our sidewalls is pretty straight, that they're pretty straight, so when you start filing, it's kind of a guide for you. So if you notice, I moved the bit out some. Now, most people would put it to here, and I typically work with it about there all the time, but when you look at the side, see how my shaft is going to hit and it's going to make a carving. It's going to carve more in here instead of riding flat on it. If I bring it out just a little bit more, and this is max as far as you could bring it out, so it will ride without bouncing and correctly. This way I could come here and get it in. See how I'm able to not hit anything else and this part not get in the way. So I have this on 12,000 RPMs, and I'm going to go ahead. If you notice when I file with an open palm. Why I'm doing this is just making sure that everything is straight, like double checking myself. This is with no pressure. I get a lot of questions on how does it not bounce? The reason why it's not bouncing, as you can see, it's parallel with my nail, and I'm putting no pressure and letting the bit do the work for me. Okay, so I'm going to take care of our cuticle area first. And remember, encapsulation, sometimes the cuticle may file out a little. Not the cuticle, but the polish around the cuticle area. I will show you a trick to fix it when we're done if that happens. So I'll come right here. And again, I am not putting pressure with my X-cut. I am just making contact and letting it do the work for me. So see, contact and drag, contact, contact, contact. Can you see how much comes off? I am going to get my dust extractor because it's going to create a little bit of dust. Okay, once I have all my cuticle, let me go over it one more time because I could tell I could go down a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to look at its side, the eye formation. So notice how I'm going to kind of go sideways like this. Typically when you see me work, I'm completely straight. With a longer nail like this, I'm still doing the same thing. What I'm doing is creating the long part of the eye formation to create that apex that I'm wanting. And this shape is more of a tubular shape. It's not like a huge apex like where you'll physically see it. It just kind of graduates in it. Again, do you see me move my thumb down so I anchor her nail? This is huge because I'm not putting pressure here, I'm just making contact. So do you see how much contact, how it's really shaping it great? If I put pressure because I'm using gel, I will take off too much. If I was using acrylic, I would put slight pressure, okay? So I don't care how thick it is on the sides, all I care about is my apex, and I'm gonna get it to where I think looks nice. I may come back and file it down, but not till after I bring in my side. So that looks pretty cool there. So then what I do is I move her this way, and I'm now looking down the barrel of her nail. Now she gets the opportunity to see what her nail looks like, right? Typically, the reason why I use the handover method, they're always wanting to look at their nails. So at this point, she gets to see them. So what I'm going to do, if I break this in 1, 2, and 3 zones, in this 1, 2, and 3 zones, I connect my zones with my E-file. So right here, I go straight up and down, and I put 0 pressure. All I'm doing is making contact. So as you can see, when I make contact, it's just fine tuning it and bringing it in. It's a little high back here, so I'm going to spend a little time here. Again, no pressure. All I'm doing is making contact, and then when I follow through is when I get that high part down. So I'm kind of focusing right here. That looks pretty good right now. So now I'm going to go straight to zone 3. Now if you notice, I was here, right? Now watch how I change my position to here, and I'm going to use my very back end of zone 3. Now you don't see a lot of people do this a lot. Typically this is the sharpest part of their bit, and this is the tallest. I use them all when I'm doing a set of nails or rebalance, whatever I'm doing, for a couple reasons. It keeps it sharp all the way through no matter where I touch it, and I don't have to move my clients everywhere. Like I could just sit here and do nails. If you notice, I do move her, but not a lot. It's my left hand helping me. So now I'm gonna blend everything in, and I kind of want to give you the view that I have. So if you look this way, so that is exactly what I was looking down the barrel. So as I come down and meet my zones, I could see what to file. If I think it still looks pretty thick, I want to bring it a little thinner through here and a little thinner through here, just a tad bit. So anytime you want to take down bulk, if it looks thick to you, I never want to see you come in this way. If you notice, when I went from zone 1 to 3, I never touched 2. The reason being is that was the highest point I fixed at the long part of your eye. I had it exactly where I wanted it. So when you meet it up your sides to the middle, you could tell if it still looks thick to you. It's kind of like a little gauge I use. So it looks a little bulky still. So what I'm going to do is come in here and do the same thing I just did, but take it down a little more. Okay, so what I'm going to do is come in from this side and take down a little more bulk. Again, am I putting pressure? Nope. All I'm doing is placing it on the nail and following through. If you notice, you never see my bit disappear. Typically when I'm working, this is going to be my thickest side. This side I'll follow through a lot. If it's disappearing here, how do I know I'm getting off enough or too much? Okay, so I'll show you an example of that right now. When you look at it here, this side is a little thicker than this side. Okay, so how I'm going to fix that is I'm just going through my eye formation again. I'm going to come in here, and at this point I'm not looking at my bit. I'm anchored and ready to roll, so all I'm doing is looking at the nail, and when I stop, that means it looks thin enough to me. Okay, that looks really good. Now let's come straight here. So again, anytime you want to thin out your nail, you're going to do your eye formation and then come in and fine tune the rest of it. A little bit more here. And with a long nail like this, don't be surprised if you're not doing them on a daily basis if you go back and forth doing that. Okay, that looks good to me. So what I'm going to do is go over my points again. So I'm going to come right here. And you may file some off, okay? Don't worry about that. We'll fix it. It's not a problem. Okay, now I'm going to blend everything in, and I'm going to put my fingernail under here, or your finger, to kind of brace her. Around the cuticle area, see how I'm bracing her nail constantly. Make sure it's really straight. Come down here. Okay, let's look at a client profile. And as you can see, some's filed out. It doesn't even matter. Don't flip out if you see this, but honestly, if everything's fixable as long as you don't file too much out of your structure. Your free edge is not where your strength is. So typically it's gonna file out around your free edge or around the cuticle area. Sometimes your sidewalls. It's super easy to fix. Okay, so I'm fine tune this a little. That looks really good. So what I'm going to do is file off camera really quick, and then I'll come back before I do any touch-ups and do the finished look. So I finished filing both of them. You could see I filed out a little bit. This is typically normal on, say, a dimensional nail. Sometimes that happens. As long as your structure is right, you're fine. So what I typically do is take manicure top. So what I'm going to do is just do cuticle to free edge, a very thin coat. Don't add any bulk here. All you're doing is getting it wet with base, basically. Okay, so she'll go under the light for 30 seconds. So everywhere you see you need to add, if you look real close, like you could kind of see the white there. Right here, some filed out, but I still have white, so the glitter basically filed out. Right here, very minor right there. So what I'm going to do is take whatever color I decide to use. Maybe I'll do green here, would be cute. Okay, put a little here. Mix it with a little yellow. Here, let's do a little pink. Mix it with a little yellow. And as you can see, I kind of brush out where I don't need something. I'll come in with pink here. And then I'm gonna come in with the yellow. Just because it'll give it a little sparkle. Maybe a little green. I like the way that looks. So before you press, what I'm gonna do is use a back end or a glove, whatever you prefer. This is just the back end of a tab. What I'm going to do is press the top with this tab. All it's doing is creating that perfect glitter press. There's a spot I missed right here, no problem. Come in and press this in. So what she's going to do from here is go under the light. You could see how it covered everything from every direction, and she'll go under the light about 15 seconds. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and go in with my top coat. And sometimes, as you could see, you'll file out some on some nails and some not the other. So just do exactly what I did on the ones that some may have filed out on your sides. And I'm using stain resistant. It's my favorite top coat. My clients come back with really shiny nails, not stained, looking like they just got them done, except the grow out. Good, and she'll final cure this. I like 2 minutes, so fully cures in 1. I like 2 for a couple reasons. I feel like it comes up to a little more of a shine. It also allows me to clean up my station before she comes out.
Okay, Mel, I love them, but question of the day, how much are you gonna charge me for these?
Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 price ranges, and let me explain. When I first started doing dimensional nails, I didn't charge for my dimension. Okay, I charge per color. So that means every glitter that I use, I charge $5. And I do that. But now I've done nails for so long, and once you get full with people, you start needing a raise because inflation, right? So I started charging per dimension. So I charge $10 a dimension. So if they have 5 nails dimension, it's $50 off the bat, okay? So let me price it without how I charge now. And then after that, I'll add what I would. So that said, I don't think anybody should do that length less than $150. Okay, so $150 for that length and all the product you had to put on, plus $5 each color. How many did I use? 20, 30, 45, plus 45. So that leaves you at just under $200, what, $195? That's cool when you're starting. I mean, I do not think you should be any less than that. That is great. It'll be worth your time. It pays for all your product and they leave happy. Now that I have given myself my raises, I would charge $200 for that length. No matter if it was a tip or a form, I would charge $200 just for coming with one color, just shaped, okay? Then I would charge per dimension. So she has 2 dimensions, okay? So she wanted 2 and the rest are solid color. So that'd be $200, $220, 10 per each dimension, plus 45. So that'd be $265. Okay, that's just for 2 dimensions, and none of my clients get 2 dimensions, but you can start them off that way. So that's just a price point. Like I said, you should never do that length without charging at least $150. Thank you, I hope you enjoyed it.
Subscribe channel now. Subscribe channel now. Subscribe